Toss and tumble on a sleepless bed, but you're wasting your time trying to lose the blues. So I'm really excited to welcome to the studio Clive Wright, Annie Carter and Claire Stoneman, the brains behind a new leadership programme which has some funding from the DfE. It's called ELP. Clive, can you tell me what ELP means and where the genesis for it came from?
Right, well, the ELP is the Exceptional Leadership Programme, and as you say, it was DfE funded, but we were given quite a broad remit to create a sort of course that we thought would be exciting in terms of leadership development. So we had, Claire and I got together with Annie quite early on in the process, and our vision was, how do you as a leader, you're a school leader, and you have an aspiration to be really impactful in terms of the influence you have over your school community, and you really want to have an influence that transforms lives. This moral mission that we're all on as educators. And the thing that I think we've discovered is that when you go out and you see amazing schools, or when you go out and you talk to extraordinary leaders, how do you sort of distill what they've discovered down into something that is usable in your own context? So as school leaders, we do our own thing, and we try to be the best we can in our own context, but we want to be more than that. And what we found was, through things like obviously research ed and going and visiting some exciting schools, that there were particular traits and particular approaches to educating young people that we wanted to be able to share in a more formal way. So this is where we began the leadership program. So it's about trying to create a leadership program that's very practical and enables leaders, novice leaders and experienced leaders, to do something hopefully quite extraordinary in their own context.
Thanks. So Annie, let me go to you. So why might school leaders need your program? What makes your program special?
Well, I think it's an opportunity really to share some great practice with some of our colleagues, and about how to implement fantastic behaviour, how to develop a knowledge-rich curriculum. And I think one of the best things about this programme is, not only are you going to get to go and visit some excellent schools where you can see this firsthand, we've also got tutors delivering who have some expertise in school leadership, in inner city schools, in rural schools, and in coastal schools.
So I've heard of some of the tutors that you're going to be using. Can you spill the beans on who you've got?
I certainly can. So we've got people like Tom Bennett, who are going to be providing some great stuff on behaviour. We've got Tom Sherrington, we've got Ruth Ashby and Stuart Locke. And some really fantastic experts in education who will be able to give us that theory and all of their wisdom, and then of course you get to go and have a look in practice what it's like.
Great. Claire, can you add anything to that?
I think really, David, just thinking about, there's such an appetite really for a school leadership programme that focuses very much solely on the domains of curriculum and behaviour. And actually what we mean by that, because we talk about, you hear curriculum bandied about a lot in schools at the minute, but what do we actually mean when we talk about it? What does that look like? So I love that schools are talking about curriculum a lot. I think that's great, and the substance of what we teach, and that's a wonderful thing. And Mary Meyer, I think she talked on this programme last week about the kind of how we're in a really good, intellectually stimulating place within education at the minute, and I agree with her. But kind of to a point, I think there's a caveat with that really, because thinking's really hard. Thinking's like super difficult, and it's really hard when you're in a busy school and there's lots of different things going on as a school leader. So I think our programme will kind of carve out a space for school leaders to really think properly and well about curriculum and behaviour, because thinking about curriculum's hard. That's the great thing about it. It is delicious but ferocious in its complexity. I think that's the lovely thing about it. You've got to kind of come to curriculum ready to wrestle with it and to think really hard. And as Annie said, the experts that we've got on this programme, it's not just talking about what it might look like, it's going in to see that in schools and see it firsthand in some of the country's most fantastic schools, talking to those expert school leaders and learning from them in context.
Great. So I recognise that we haven't really got around to introducing you all yet. So that if viewers are not sure who you all are, Claire, you're the what's your role in the programme? You've got a quite fancy title, haven't you?
Well, I'm the director of the Exemplary Leadership Programme, which sounds very exciting. But essentially, I coordinate the programme, co-write parts of the programme with our expert tutors, and organise the delivery of it and how that works across a group of schools, and the schools within our trust and the expert tutors across the programme as well.
Okay, and what's your role, Clive? What's
well, I'm a head teacher in the school in Leicestershire, in just outside Hinckley, St Martin's, and I was sort of very keen to get this project when I heard about the sort of funding that was available. So Annie and I are in the same trust. So Annie's, she'll explain in a moment, she's primary, we're secondary, and we've got quite a similar outlook on our sort of educational philosophy with the knowledge-rich and the sort of focus on sort of behaviour and culture. So I approached Annie and she was enthusiastic, and then I needed a mastermind, and so we approached Claire. Yeah, exactly. So she sort of joined us, and then we began to sort of put together this program and put together this bid, and obviously the bids came to fruition. So here we are.
So Annie, as a primary head, do you think you bring an important perspective to a program like this?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great. You know, I'm head teacher of Christ the King, which, as you say, it's giving that primary perspective, and it's a great opportunity actually to work with a secondary school. And you often find that, you know, when you talk about leadership, there are, you know, the things that make a great leader in a primary are very similar to what make a great leader in a secondary, you know, and I think, you know, you find you have this overlap. You know, in our school, you know, we've defined and articulated the values that we really want our pupils to learn as they journey through the school. Now, I can't imagine that some of those are going to be very different from a primary setting to a secondary setting. And, you know, we've dedicated substantial time to teaching in meticulous detail the behaviours and the routines that we want to become a habit for our children in school. And the reason that we do that is because we know that we get the behaviour right that enables the children to be successful, not just in our school, of course, but also in life. So I think, you know, and again with our curriculum, you know, we believe that a knowledge-led curriculum is a prerequisite for sustained and long-term academic development. And we've taken considerable time to make sure that we've identified that key knowledge that children need to acquire, you know, by the end of each year. And very like a secondary school, you know, that's been done on a subject by subject basis. You know, the subjects are taught discreetly to ensure that the pupils gain that breadth of knowledge. And I think it's that contributes to the very high academic achievement of our children, certainly at the end of Key Stage 2. So I think, you know, that focus on your curriculum, the focus on knowledge, and, you know, the focus on behaviour, and having passionate subject leaders who, you know, really drive their subjects and, you know, look at research into their subjects, is the same for primary and secondary. But I think it's good to have both schools so that, you know, we can showcase, you know, some of the great approaches that we've taken and the journeys that we've been on through that development.
Great, thanks for that. That's great. So It's interesting to hear you all talk, because the programme is essentially about helping schools and school leaders think about curriculum, but you've all talked about behaviour. You mentioned the fact that Tom Bennett, the behaviour guru himself, is involved, and it's the first part of your course. Why the emphasis on behaviour for a course that's supposed to be about curriculum?
Well, I mean, what we found, and at St Martin's, we obviously developed lots of these ideas ourselves, but we've also had opportunities. We set up this organisation called the Midland Knowledge Schools Hub. So we've worked with lots of other schools sort of across the Midlands, and we've seen patterns that are very interesting. And one of the things that we've learned is that immaculate behaviour is a prerequisite to a really demanding curriculum. So, for example, in St Martin's, our English curriculum, in Year 7 they study Ovid and Metamorphosis, and they study Homer, and they study rhetoric, and they study Beowulf, and it's not just a sort of a light touch version of it. It's an in-depth study of those texts. And if you're spending an hour with in-depth research and in-depth reading and in-depth analysis of what are pretty tough texts, you need children who are completely focused. So whether they're top set or whether they're sort of lower ability children, they need absolute focus. Therefore, if you have any sort of disruption, that's going to completely hamper the delivery of that curriculum.
Okay. So let me ask you a question, Claire. So the curriculum that Clive just given a taste of there might be some people who say that that's maybe a bit elitist or not maybe appropriate for a fast changing modern world for young people to be learning about. What would you say to those sorts of critics?
I think even the discussions and the debates in schools about the substance of curriculum are really important. With our programme that we're offering, it's not a drag and drop model. So we're not saying you have to use the curriculum that's at St Martin's, or you must use the curriculum at Christ the King. What we're trying to do is open up the space for debate and discussion about the substance of what's important on the curriculum, and for those debates to be had. At Clive School, they've decided that Ovid's really important to study, and great, like they think that's really important, fantastic. There may well be other schools that think, well, we're not going to have Ovid, we're going to have, I don't know, we're going to do much more of an in-depth study of Old English, Beowulf, and then move into Middle English and Chaucer, but we're not going to do some of the much earlier stuff. I think the programme opens up the space for debate. It really enables school leaders to think in a way that perhaps they haven't done so before, about how curriculum can liberate, and not just the opportunities for our children, but for our colleagues as well. So thinking about the substance of what we teach, not just how we teach it, which in the 20 years I've been in teaching, for much of that time, my time was spent thinking about how I'm going to teach, not necessarily the substance of what I was teaching. And bringing colleagues back to that, and how you lead that within a school, is a really, really exciting place to be, I think.
It sounds like an intellectually demanding course. Do you think that's a fair description?
Yes, definitely. And I think that is something, I know that is something that we're going to tell participants right at the start. They're going to have to think really hard. And that's a great thing. Like that's a wonderful thing. It's kind of turning on that intellectual tap even more within our profession. And you know, thinking, I mean, I kind of alluded to this earlier really, but you know, Daniel Willingham tells us that thinking is slow and effortful and uncertain, and we've kind of not thought about school leadership like that for years and years. Like I never thought in school leadership like that, as slow, effortful, and uncertain. And for a long period of time, I think thinking around school improvement has been quite knee-jerkingly reactive, really. It's oh, we must do that, we need to find a solution to that, quick, let's change and do something else, and almost like searching for the holy grail of pedagogy, whatever we mean by pedagogy, right? This kind of weird pseudoscience around pedagogy, or the holy grail of curriculum as it now is, or your curriculum isn't knowledge rich enough, it needs to be more knowledge rich. Like, what do we even mean by that? And again, this program opens up that discussion about a knowledge rich curriculum. What might that look like? What's it look like in Annie's school in Christ the King? What's it look like in Clive School at St Martin's? We've got Reach Academy Feltham who'll be joining us. They've got a different curriculum. Advantage schools, they've got a different curriculum. So it's not that, like I said, it's not that drag and drop. It's bringing in ideas from different schools where it works really well, but where participants will definitely have to think hard.
Okay, so I'm a school leader and I'm interested in joining the programme. So it would be fair to say, full disclosure, if you're not interested in implementing a knowledge-rich curriculum, this might not be the course for you.
No, it's not the course for you. So we're really open about that, you know, and our website talks about that as well. It is about implementing a knowledge-rich curriculum. If you're not up for that, that's fine. You know, this is what our approach is. Pinning our colours to the mast quite overtly. It is about a knowledge-rich curriculum, yes, and exemplary behaviour.
Okay, so I am interested in a knowledge-rich curriculum. You've convinced me. How do I get on board?
So you go straight to the website. So www. I don't even know why I've said that. No one says that anymore. exemplaryleadership.org.uk.
We'll edit this and we'll put the website somewhere on the screen.
Thanks, David.
Say it again, Claire.
And you fill in the form, and then our team will send you the details for application. But you do need to be a senior leader or a head teacher, or you could work in a senior position across a multi-academy trust as well.
Great. So Annie, Clive, if people do sign up to this, they'll obviously meet you, and they'll, amongst other places, that will they get to visit your schools?
Yeah, well, totally. I mean, Christ the King, which Annie will sort of elaborate on in a moment, is the sort of key school part of the bid. Extraordinary school in the middle of Leicester, with a very sort of diverse catchment. St Martin's, we're just outside Hinckley, so we're in sort of just outside Leicestershire town. Hinckley and Ilshilton, that's where our children come from, and we have lots of visitors through the Midland Knowledge Schools hub anyway. So once the whole COVID thing hopefully has died down, then yeah, we'll have visitors. Annie will have visitors. Annie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we're very excited about having the opportunity to share the great practice with our colleagues. And to share some of the things that have worked really well in our setting. So I think it's a wonderful opportunity for both our school and also for anybody that joins the programme.
Great. So Clive mentioned there, Annie, that COVID permitting, what's going to happen to the programme if things are as they are now and we're all a bit uncertain about where things are going? How will the programme proceed?
I mean, we have thought about this, David, you know, and we've made sure that there's going to be a blend of online learning as well as face-to-face. And, you know, we do hope that we can provide those visits. There may be fewer visits and there may be some restrictions in place. But I think we're going to be able to deliver on this programme, you know, regardless of COVID, although, you know, that there those parameters in place.
So we'll just get on. We'll make the best of it. We might have some bubbles and some one-way systems, but we'll
exactly.
We'll get there. Okay. Clive, Annie, Claire, that's been really informative and useful to talk to you. The website to find out about the Exemplary Leadership Programme is, unsurprisingly, www.exemplaryleadership.org.uk. If you're interested, as Claire said, go along to the website, sign up, register your interest, and someone will be in touch to, I don't know, do things to you and inculcate you into the cult of Rich. But thanks ever so much for your time, and I hope to hear more from you all as the programme proceeds and as you get underway. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, David.
Thank you.